Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode here at Tribal Trades, the daily show coming at you from the great state of Florida. One hell of a drug. And I do want to welcome you to the channel wherever you are tuning in from around the world today. Thanks for watching today. The title of the show is the Bitcoin Death Cross Incoming. What does that mean? How can we trade it? And what do I think is going to happen as a result of that death cross? And we'll look back historically what has happened in the markets with that death cross. Should we be afraid or should we be buying that fear? Or should we be panic selling that the bear market is coming up? We're going to go into all that and a whole lot more. But before we do that, smash the like button. This does help get this channel out to more people, does help support the channel, of course, as does your wonderful comments that you take the time to write. I take the time to read them and respond. Thank you so much for that. Well, first of all, we cannot ignore what happened in the stock market yesterday. The S&P has plunged 10% in just 2 trading days. An extraordinary drop occurring within 2 months of hitting an all-time high. This kind of swift and severe decline, so close to record levels, has only happened 3 other times in history, each during market crashes. And let's just open this up. And you can see actually the other times that this exact thing happened. So this was part of history there. And you can see that apart from 1929, the other 2 times in 87 and 2020, the market was looking pretty decent within 2 weeks to a month to 3, 6 months, even 12 months later. Obviously, the exception was 1929. However, what a lot of people aren't saying who are trying to flood fear into the market, and we'll cover this in the stock show tomorrow, Sunday, for everybody. That will be an action-packed show. Don't miss that. We're going to cover and give a full breakdown of what happened in the stock market on Thursday and Friday. Is that in 1929, interest rates were at a whopping 10%, and they held them at 10%. Of course, now, much different, 100 years later, the Fed won't have interest rates at 10%. They would cut interest rates dramatically like they did in 2020. And of course, the money printer will get turned back on. Some big differences, which is why I don't think we're going to see a 1929 style crash happen at this point in time. Okay, so let's jump into, of course, some Bitcoin news. And as you can see for Bitcoin here, interestingly, Bitcoin performed exceptionally well today. That was yesterday. In fact, the Bitcoin to Magnificent 7 ratio just hit its highest level on record. While risky assets collapsed, Bitcoin closed the day up 1%. That was the first time Bitcoin has deviated from Bitcoin assets in 2025. Now, while this is good, we can also really look at and say that Bitcoin front ran that drop. So everybody's claiming that, before the stock market crashed, Bitcoin crashed. So Bitcoin kind of led the way down. All right. So while it was great that Bitcoin remained fairly stable amongst all the chaos and the dumping, Bitcoin had already had its dumping for the last 2 months. Okay. So I think that's important to note. Now let's talk about the death cross, because this is what this episode is all about. And as you can see, the death cross happens when the 50-day moving average, this dark blue line, crosses below the 200-day moving average, and it's pretty close. It may even happen this weekend. We might see the death cross happen this weekend. It's happening very, very soon. Now, it hasn't happened very often. Now, I did share about this in my show yesterday, okay? So if you didn't watch my show yesterday, please check that out, okay? And so the incoming death cross, but we also have a hash ribbons buy indicator. One of these has to be wrong. Which one is going to be wrong? Well, let's go back in history. Now, just remember, for those people who are new, the bull run is, and just recapping, if you didn't watch yesterday's video, just a quick recap. The bull market would be confirmed as over historically, and a bear market would be in play if we get a full weekly open candle close, a full weekly candle that opens and closes below the 50-week moving average, number one. Number two, a death cross, which is going to happen first anyway, I would think. Would have to happen first anyway. And number three, a dead cat bounce after a full weekly candle open and close below there, a dead cat bounce into the 200-day. It rejects there, and then it capitulates. Now, for me, I'm going to take a full candle that opens and closes below the 50-week moving average as my sign. We're going to see the death cross already. That will be number one. This will be number two, and that will be my sign for the bear market. If we need any confirmation of that, a rejection off the 200-day moving average as a dead cat bounce, then capitulates to the downside. How does the hash ribbons indicator? Now, if you want this indicator, many people have asked me, just type in hash ribbons, and it's the one by Capriol Investments here, and you can see this is the one that you want to add, and you can add it to your charts, and you can see. So we're going to go back in a bit of a time machine here, like we did just yesterday for the 50-week moving average and the death cross, and we're going to have a look at how these two interact with each other. And so as we go back, the last time we saw a death cross right here, we also got the hash ribbons buy indicator. So this was a fake out, and we saw a beautiful move to the upside from 60,000 all the way up to 109,000. Okay, so the hash ribbons 1, death cross 0. As we come back here and we go back a little bit further, and we're going to go back in our time machine, and we saw another death cross over here. Okay, here we go. Here's our death cross as we go below, and we also had the hash ribbons buy indicator, and Bitcoin went from around 27,000 up to 75,000. Hash ribbons buy indicator 2, death cross 0 there. Okay, let's go back a little bit further and see, of course, as we go back, the next time that we see a death cross is right here, and that is where we had the full weekly candle that opened and closed. See these ones, they just closed below. That's not a sign. It's this candle that open and closes below the 50-week moving average. No hash ribbons indicator, no buy signal there. Okay, so for those people who are saying we're going into a bear market, the charts aren't saying that right now. Okay, and so what happened, of course, after that is we saw here's the dead cat bounce up into the 200-day moving average and capitulation. So we had death cross first. Well, we had the candle open and close below the 50-week moving average. We had a death cross, and then we had the rejection off the 200-day moving average. Let's go back a little bit further, shall we, and see the next time that we saw death cross was back over here in 2021. This was the crash, the April-May crash, and this is what I think what's happening right now, because I feel like the charts seem to indicate that there's the hash ribbons buy signal just a couple months later. Hash ribbons buy signal 3, death cross 0. Okay, so hash ribbons has been the accurate indicator there, the hash ribbons buy signal that came a couple of months after. And again, we did not see a full weekly candle open and close below, and we did not see it reject at the 200-day moving average. It did the opposite. It pushed through. Let's go back even a little bit further to see even another death cross, and let's see if we can find another death cross and another hash ribbons buy indicator here. Here is the other death cross that happened right here with the, oh, not there, but here. So another one here in March of 2020, we had obviously this was a black swan event though, because although we did see a full candle close and open below the 50-week moving average, it was because of the pandemic, and that's what you call a black swan event. This is our outlier here. Either way, when that happened and we had the hash ribbons indicator, the hash ribbons indicator still overruled the death cross 4-0. So hash ribbons 4, death cross 0. It's only when we had the death cross without the hash ribbons buy signal that we went into a bear market, okay? And just to confirm that it was still okay, there was another signal here, another hash ribbons buy indicator. You got two. You don't often see it like that, but this happened as a result of the crash there, and that's an outlier. So even though this one had a full candle open and close below, that was pandemic style there, okay? And then we saw, and actually there again, we see another dash cross here back in 2019, and we have a hash ribbons indicator a month or two later, hash ribbons indicator 5, death cross 0. So what we're really looking for is we are looking for a situation where we have the death cross without the hash ribbons indicator and the death cross when we have a 50-week moving average open and close below. And even when we had it, that during the pandemic, okay, that happened, this was the black swan. It's what we call a black swan event. You can look that up if you're not sure what a black swan event. So it's a little bit of an outlier. So you don't usually include it in your statistics because it's a little bit of an outlier. Just actually go over to black swan here. I've come in. Black swan is an extremely rare event with severe consequences here, an unpredictable event that is beyond what is normally expected of a situation, has potentially severe consequences. So that's what we saw there, and that was really what happened with that open and close, even though we saw that situation happen there. And of course, well, in March 2020, we're nowhere near the market cycle top. The market cycle top didn't actually happen until November of 2021, 18 months later. So that it wasn't anywhere near what we would be considered, to be close to the top of the bull market at that point. Okay, let's check our follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. And as you can see here, what we have is lots of liquidity to the downside here, billions of dollars of liquidity down at 81,000. I would expect the market makers to come for that, even down to 79,000, 78,000, billions of dollars there. I would be very surprised if we just went up from here, for example, particularly with all the turmoil in the stock market, all the uncertainty. How is that going to open on Monday? What we're going to see, we're going to get a bit of an idea on Sunday evening when futures trading opens, what might be coming up on Monday morning. But of course, here's the big danger down here around 72, 73, 74,000, 76 actually. There's billions and billions of dollars. There is much more to the upside. So even though we're looking down here, but we are closer here we're closer to 75,000 than we are to 100,000 and to 110,000, where there are billions of dollars to the upside. So I do still think we are in a bull run. I still think that until we see those criteria met, they'll still be looking to accumulate Bitcoin in these dips that happen every time there's a little bit of a dip happening. And if we look back in the charts here, we can see the tribal trades trend line has been holding up price pretty well so far. I was expecting it to be lost, honestly. We move there for the sake of time, but there is the tribal trades trend line, one line to rule them all. And I have nibbled at each of these areas here. Of course, I have some buy orders set at 79, 77, 76, 73, and all the way down to 69 there. Just dollar cost average orders to accumulate Bitcoin and add to my Bitcoin there. And of course, I don't want to think, I'm waiting down here at 73. It may not come down to 73. It may only come down to here. I would be surprised if we didn't come down and test the 50-week moving average. I'd be quite surprised, if Bitcoin rallied from here and went and set a new all-time high, which I think it's going to at this point, is the most likely scenario. Of course, there are no guarantees, of course, but we haven't even tested the 50-week moving average. We've tested the 50 EMA on the weekly here, and we wicked into it and then straight back up again. And now it's really about the 50-week moving average. First of all, if that can hold, And of course, we don't want to see a candle open and close below that, coupled with the death cross. I don't think we'll see that. And even if it is, and it's a bit of a black swan event, we've had this hash ribbons buy indicator, and that has been rock solid and reliable. So I do think the bull run is not over. I do think the Fed is going to turn on the money printer. Interest rates are going to be cut, and we are going to see some more upside for the crypto market and the stock market. All right, that's it for today. Thanks again for tuning in. And of course, until the next episode, or until I hopefully will see you all in the Discord. The links are below in the description. You might need to click the more button. That will pop out. We've got the Tribal Trades Discord and the Stocks with Josh Discord. Check all of that out, and there's a whole bunch of information and more. Happy trading.